Alright guys, welcome everyone to Duoqueue podcast, a podcast where we talk about all the latest and recent developments in League of Legends and the Oceanic community. I'm your host Alicifer, and co-hosting with me is Bensin.
Hi guys, thanks once again for tuning in. We're joined today by Christian from the Duoqueue content team and Atlus, one of the biggest shoutcasters in Australian League of Legends. How are you guys going?
Atlus, good, thank you.
Oh,
yeah, I'm pretty sweet.
Good.
Excellent. So, for all of our viewers out there, could you please tell us a bit more about yourselves and what you do? Let's start off with Atlus.
Hi, well, I'm the Oceanic Shoutcaster for Riot Games at the moment. I'm about to go into the winter round of 8, which is going to be super exciting. Of course, casted previously the ACL tournaments all last year, also their qualifiers this year, and of course the autumn round of 8 and the Supernova tournament, which was super exciting. Of course, Alicifer being there as well. And yeah, just waiting for winter to start. I'm excited.
And what do you do, Christian?
I'm one of the new content creators at Duoqueue.net and .net.au, sorry, and I also work as an analyst at lolscouts.com, and we work with a few amateur teams and just a general esports lover, really.
Excellent.
Right, so I reckon we dive straight into some questions and some discussion. First off, I'd just like to ask both of your general thoughts on the All-Stars event overall. So we'll go with Atlus first.
I thought it was awesome. I was a little bit upset by the fact that it means pretty much nothing. That's the only real issue that I've got. I mean, of course, we're all leading up to Worlds and everything's all about who the next champions are going to be, but one thing that really, really disappointed me was the fact that SKT T1K, they were the massive stomp team that just destroyed everyone, whereas in Korea, they actually got knocked out. They weren't in the most recent OGN split. So it sort of feels a bit sad, the fact that one of the lower teams in Korea just destroys the rest of the world. And it means sort of the whole competitiveness of the whole event sort of gets thrown out the window just a little bit, because you're just thinking, oh, well, I guess Korea is going to win Worlds this year.
But don't you think that makes things a little bit more fun? It like spices up the competition a bit?
I just found it depressing. That's just me,
I think personally, the problem as well, with SK Telecom dominating OGNs currently, a lot of that is to do with them not really adapting to a lot of the new style picks, especially in their mid lane. And when they played at All-Stars, they played a really old school kind of play style where they really didn't pick any of the current strengths on 4.6. So it wasn't really a surprise that SK Telecom was still able to win with playing those old strategies, because they play them just so well.
Yeah, they do. It's just unfortunate that, you know, the adaptation of teams like Cloud9, who are just fantastic. I mean, unfortunately, they did have Link, of course, which meant that things were a little bit more difficult. Of course, you can't avoid having a collapsed lung on your mid lane. I mean, what are you going to do? But, yeah, I mean, Link played really, really well despite that. I mean, I was actually really impressed by NA's contribution to the whole event. I thought that was really nice. The fact that Fnatic were the only team coming in with a full lineup was really... And the fact that they didn't do all that well was a little bit unfortunate, just based off the fact that they're normally this team that's just so fantastic at adapting and also practicing really, really hard. They've got a massive team of analysts and people all helping out, so it's just a little bit unfortunate that they didn't have a stronger showing here at All-Stars. And I think it has a lot to do with the fact that it doesn't necessarily net you anything. I mean, sure, you can win a bit of, I don't know, pride or something like that for your region, but that's about it.
Yeah, I think that was one of my big issues with All-Stars as well, especially with the group structure, the fact that the second day of games were virtually irrelevant, seeing as the bottom team was the only team to be knocked out. There was a lot of, only teams playing for really pride. That was the biggest prize for everyone, and you know, a lot of teams aren't going to really step it up, especially in Europe, one of the scenes that really doesn't like to prepare as much for those tournaments. You know, even the previous year in All-Stars, they didn't really show up big, but I guess it's just, yeah, we have to wait to Worlds to see that big competition, people trying to come home for the money.
Do you think that maybe something that All-Stars does is bring a little bit more exposure? I mean, we know Riot is already huge, and we know League is already huge, but to have something like that, like, you saw the crowd's reaction in France while they were playing at All Stars, and that's something that the atmosphere that they kind of go for. So do you think that that might help, like, bring even more interest to people that aren't really in the gaming scene? They see this and they go, "Wow."
You can go first, Alice.
All right. It's always a little bit difficult with these Skype conversations. Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's fantastic for exposure. I mean, I'm speaking mainly from the competitive point of view as far as seeding and the fact that the early split doesn't really mean that all that much, and it means there's a lack of relevance for the beginning of the scene. But, of course, as far as exposure is concerned, it's absolutely fantastic. And as we saw in France, I mean, my goodness, like the crowd reactions to the big plays and everything like that was absolutely incredible. So I thought that was a massive thing that they did, and definitely something that can't go unstated. But just on the competitive side, I wasn't all that impressed. And of course, like having the Earth modes and all that sort of stuff, that was super fun. But there's a lot more to talk about in that area because there's a lot of gripes that I have with that too, to be honest.
Just like
Yeah, I think
toys coming back and like the hexagon stuff was like
Yeah,
just insane.
so cool.
So
Yeah.
beautiful for exposure.
Very
yeah.
great. But what I was going to say is just I think that it depends what Riot's focus is. If they want to create competitive environment or they want to make a more entertaining environment. If you want to entertainment, All Stars was great. It was perfect. They did everything right. But if you want a really highly competitive season and a highly competitive final, All Stars wasn't really what you want to look at.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a way of saying exactly what I said, but succinctly. Well played.
I just thought All Stars was actually, I found it really cool. It was really cool to watch. I mean, for instance, when SKT ran the entire SKT team.
Oh, that was so cool.
Fnatic, that
So
was just
cool.
like really cool to watch because just watching, Fnatic hover over Zyra and everyone's heart just like, no, please don't do that. Please don't do that.
That was such BM though. The fact that this
Yeah, I
this
know.
team comp is basically irrelevant now. A lot of these
Yeah.
a lot of these picks are just not worthwhile playing at this point. But the fact that SKT can pick that up and still decimate Fnatic, and what we were talking about before was the fact that Fnatic are the only ones coming in here with a full roster or coming off exactly, what they want. Sort of they're in their prime at this point. So it's just a little bit sad, the fact that SKT runs this old school team just for shits and giggles and then comes out ahead. But it was definitely awesome to watch. And watching Faker on Zed just, oh my God.
Yeah,
so
just
cool.
like the early Vayne pick, my heart just kind of like dropped
Oh, yeah.
because you don't pick Vayne early. And
Piglet is a god, by the way.
Yeah,
he is
yeah.
just a
it's
god.
really good.
Piglet
But
is really good.
It was awesome to watch. It was so much fun to watch. But
Yes.
what about the big upset with the C9 versus OMG? How C9 beat them? Like everyone was like, "Wow, that's so cool! Oh my god!" And then they lose. Yeah, it was just
Yeah.
It was a bit heartbreaking, wasn't it?
yeah.
Would you guys have picked that?
Yeah. Actually, I think Cloud9 are ridiculously good on an international level as well, because we've seen time and time again. I mean, they've 2 splits running now, just had ridiculous records over in North America, and they practice really well, and their strategies are really well formulated as well. So, I mean, the only reason that you discount them is the fact that they had Link in that mid lane. But as you saw, he adapted so well to the C9 playstyle. And there's the fact that he's so similar to Link, to High, in a lot of ways, with the fact that he plays for his team. He doesn't play as, like a Bjergsen who would get all the kills and go and carry his team, just puts everyone on his back and runs around. No, he roams down bot. He'll sacrifice CS to try and get his bottom lane or top lane ahead. He makes decisions like that, which is exactly what's in High's playstyle. So it was really, really cool seeing his adaptation and the way that he fit in with the team. And it also shows a lot of preparation as well. So that definitely speaks for what C9 as a whole are capable of as far as adapting and making sure that they stay on top of everything. So I wasn't surprised about them taking a game, but of course, OMG winning the series, that wasn't too surprising either, to be honest.
I think about the game. The only problem in analysing that game is it's so hard because the game was worth nothing, and OMG knew to a pretty solid extent that they were going to be first in Cloud9 in the group in the finals. So OMG threw away their 3 bans virtually, and they let Morgana get through. They let a lot of important picks get through. So they were really trying to. It seemed like they were trying to play the late game. So they knew that they had to verse his team, and they were trying to give his way as much as they can, so that they can come back strong. And then in the group stages, when it's not really worth so much, that's when you want to see what the other teams are going to bring. And I think OMG really showed that, yeah, they were just really outclassed them when it came to the finals. Cloud9 had the chance to get that game going, but not having their shot caller made them really sloppy rotations in the late game, and they couldn't beat OMG.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And then, of course, OMG got a little bit BM'd at the end by SKT as well when they were allowed all of their most powerful picks in the first game. And then OMG went, no, we're going to pick Syndra. Faker doesn't even know how to play the damn champion. He's like, no, I'll pick it. It's fine. I'll see if I can just wreck you anyway. And they did.
Yeah, that's something that I thought was extremely impressive. The fact that SK Telecom knew that if they gave away those picks in the first game and then they will manage to take a win, that OMG would just be so demoralized, and it really showed in that set. They were confident enough that, okay, if we lose in this first game, we can just ban Syndra and try and come back in the second, third, and fourth. But yeah, that was a really impressive strategy and implementation, I think.
Yeah, on that note, with the whole BM part of it, it's like how with Doublelift's comments on Piglet, I can't remember them word for word, but Piglet's reply to it was basically, I could beat him with one hand. And it was just like, you know what I mean? Like, that just goes back to the whole BM thing. It was just so straight to the point.
Is that using a trackpad on a laptop? I'm just trying to work out how you do it. You use your thumb and just put that on the desk.
Maybe we got one of those mouses. You know those mouses with all the buttons on the side,
the
like
Curb
Razer
mouse.
Naga and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yep. My goodness.
I just thought it was so entertaining. And do you guys, on that note, do you find Doublelift overrated, in your opinion?
I think he's awesome. I've always loved Doublelift.
I love Doublelift. I love him so much.
And I think his BM's it's actually fine because a lot of the time he doesn't necessarily take himself too seriously, and a lot of what he says actually rings really true. And the fact is, if you want to play at a competitive level, you have to basically have all the confidence in the world, because otherwise you're never going to be able to make any plays at all. So I really respect Doublelift and what he does, but he is a lot of the time talking out of his ass.
Yeah.
Because I think that Piglet, given two hands, would easily destroy him in a 1v1. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Well, let's discuss on the other scale of BMing. Awesome things that happened. We saw a marriage on stream at the All-Stars. How gorgeous was that? I loved it. Although she didn't look too impressed.
I was expecting the proposal to be for Shocks. Because, honestly, I would not put it past anyone just to hop on stage and propose to her.
Dude, I would have proposed to Shocks. Are you kidding me?
I'll give it a go, probably. That'd be,
give it a red hot crack, no problem.
Yeah, sure, why not?
So when that didn't happen, I was like, it's just a regular marriage proposal. All right, fair enough.
Well,
It'd be great if she said no, though.
I do have a question in regards to something like that. Do you think should things like that be kind of advertised on stream as a thing that they should do, or do you think that they should be keep it more in private, do it at the event but don't stream it? What are you guys' thoughts on that?
I think that because it's All-Stars and it's a little bit more casual, a little bit less meaningful, and I guess professional-ish. So it's not, if you do it at Worlds, I reckon that would be just terrible. But doing it at All-Stars, I think that's awesome because it's just All-Stars, it's basically just a bunch of show matches. So I actually, I really like that because it adds to the spectacle of the whole thing. And the whole thing's supposed to be sort of dramatic and exciting and all basically for show. And I really liked the fact that they allowed stuff like that to go through because it sort of just adds to the whole vibe of the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought it was good too. But my mum used to say to me when I was little, never ever propose to someone in front of other people just in case you say no and you makes it awkward. So
it does mean that they'll most likely say yes, though. That's what you got to realize is the fact that if you put them on the spot, then they're sort of like, oh, I don't want to, yeah, no, totally. I don't even know you, but yeah, I'll marry you. It's fine.
It's all about playing the game, man.
Weird.
It's all about playing the game.
To be honest, she didn't really look that impressed.
Yeah, she didn't.
I mean, her fiance just proposed in front of hundreds of thousands of gamers.
Yeah.
Wow. Awesome. That's so cool. I do love the thought though. I love the thought.
Oh god, I have to say yes. She was just when they panned up to her, and then Doublelift came in to say congratulations, and her face was just it was beautiful. Oh god, it was tragic. I'm like, no, what have you done?
And I'd be
But-
more overwhelmed about double ifs coming over, not like the marriage or anything like that. That'd
Oh
be
no! If you're
Oh,
like,
I-
woman, I'd just like propose to you so I could get close to double lift. Sorry.
that would be awesome.
It'd be amazing if she said, "Oh, no, double list here now, soz."
He's
Yeah.
got those mechanics, you feel me?
Oh wow, don't want to. Jesus.
All right, guys, let's get back into the more discussion thread. So let's touch a little bit more on the SKT versus OMG games. These are pretty cool. Like, I really have to admit, I love watching these games. It's so interesting. What do you think those games were about?
Well, I think we touched on it. Well, a lot of it already. I mean, the fact that Christian said it really, really right. The fact that OMG got all of their power picks, and especially going in the top lane on that Renekton. I mean, he hadn't lost. Like, he was 7-0 or something for the LPL season on that Renekton. And just to get basically, I mean, it was a close match, and of course OMG were doing fantastic in a lot of the team fights, but then to just lose, just get outplayed at the very end of the game, I mean, it was just a bit sad and demoralizing. And then afterwards, they just didn't look like the same team. Of course, they didn't get their Syndra pick, they didn't get a lot of the power picks through, and it was just SKT pulling them apart. I actually would have really liked to have at least a grand final in one of these events where it doesn't just go 3-0, but unfortunately, it wasn't to be this time.
Yeah.
So do you think it was like massive? Sorry, this question is directed at you, Christian.
Okay.
So do you think that they picked really interesting strategies to kind of counteract it, or do you think they just went with what they knew best and just worked well with that?
Yeah, they definitely led more towards what works with best. And in the first game, they got a lot of the good picks. They got Orianna, which is a really safe pick against the Syndra, which is really the terror in their team comp, along with the Renekton, of course. And they even let San get Twitch. It was really one of the most prominent characters of the whole of All Stars. But San's Twitch, it was very strong. It did really well. But SK Telecom is just a team. My friend put it very well, actually. He says that when you verse SK Telecom, a lot of people have the mentality, it's like, oh, great, I caught this person out. All of a sudden, you're just dead because the rest of SK Telecom was there to catch you as well. And it's virtually impossible to verse if you don't have a set strategy with really solid rotations and just really strong play. I think it was interesting to note that in the finals and the semi-finals, in fact, every top laner picked teleport in every game, both top laners. So it was a really good series. But yeah, just the first game was so exciting, and to lose that, OMG just was demoralized and they had no way of coming back into that set, and SK Telecom just wrecked the second and third games.
Yeah.
One thing I'd really like to mention, actually, just before we move on, is the Zillion pick in the bottom lane. That was super awesome, and I just need to throw out to give a shout out, to Venom from Team Immunity, because he picked it and he got told that he was being a troll in an interview after the game. But that pick is so
I wonder
legit.
who said that.
Yeah. I said it was disrespectful, not a troll, but
No. Yep. Regardless, that is a really, really strong pick at the moment, actually. And considering both SKT's playstyle and of course Immunity's playstyle as well, which is dive like hell on their backline and let your AD carry take care of themselves. It's absolutely perfect because you've always got that oh shit button in the cryo shift or whatever
and
it is.
The Zillion paired with Twitch is just so powerful for those stealth ganks. Same with the Kha'Zix as well. Zillion and Twitch and Kha'Zix are just a terror nightmare team to verse. That game in the second comp was actually a really popular setup that they run in Korea with Twitch and Twisted Fate, because it just gives you killer ganks. You just come out of nowhere and people get caught.
I think they ran Nocturne that game as well.
No, they had Kha'Zix that game. They didn't. Yeah, that is played with Nocturne, but they didn't end up picking.
Oh no, sorry, that was in the Challenger qualifier.
Yeah.
Sorry,
but I think
so many League of
Twitch
Legends
and Twisted Fate is the crux of that strategy. The Nocturne fits in really well, but it's not. Yeah, with the Zillion being able to just speed up that Twitch, and then the Ghost Blade and the Blade of the Ruined King, it's really, really hard to deal with.
Catch the rat.
Yeah, moving on a bit. As we're talking about the Whitewash, everyone knew that SKT was going to destroy. It was just everyone knew that they would win. What makes the Korean team so much better than the Chinese teams? Because in the scale of things, Korea is just so far ahead of the competition, in every aspect.
I think it's better management and the fact that they've had so much esports experience beforehand with the massive boom of StarCraft and things like that. There's the fact that they're just already on such a high level as far as esports is concerned and taking esports seriously as well. So the management behind everything is way more rigorous. Their training is way more rigorous. They take everything far more seriously. It's not a video game, it's a sport. This is they're professional athletes and they have been for a lot longer than the rest of the world. And that's sort of how I feel they've got their edge. There's also the fact that a lot of them are just mechanically insanely good, and I don't understand it. Is it genetics? I don't know. It's just they're just born with it. I don't know. Maybe it's Maybelline.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with Atlus. Really, it's all to do with the infrastructure. The fact that they have the people can develop their skills to work on a really small aspect of the game. So, for example, they have behavioral psychologists working with teams. They have analysts who are just based in statistics, analysts who are just based on data entry, like things like that. So, if you're in Korea and you want to get involved within esports, you can get in these really niche parts of it. So you can really improve to a really high extent, whereas in a lot of the other regions, if you want to get involved in esports, you have to kind of be able to do a little bit of everything so that you can get out there. Whereas Korea really, yeah, they bring up everyone through their infrastructure and it really shines, especially with their coaching, I think.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't know if it's true, but a lot of them they're insanely disciplined players. Like, if they tilt, it's a really bad part of the team and stuff like that. So I know a lot of managers, like, I'm pretty certain there's like kind of like more of a punishment system, not necessarily like, you know, go sit in the corner for 20 minutes, but it's a real, I don't know, just the amount of exposure they have and stuff like that just kind of really makes it so much more intense than North America and EU and all that kind of stuff. But on that note, with SKT in the finals, did you find that a lot of people were saying that they were doing bad, essentially? Because Atlus spoke before about how SKT have been getting dominated, like in the OGN and stuff like that, and they're not in the next series. But at the start of the games, they seemed really sort of choppy like that, because in the start of the Fnatic game where they played the Skins team, they were pretty iffy until about like mid game. Like, any feelings on that at all?
I just don't think they were taking it all that seriously, to be perfectly honest.
Really?
The fact that they're already so much better, and that was demonstrated game after game. The fact that they didn't drop a game the entire series really is a testament to just how much further ahead Korea is as a scene from everybody else. And it just goes back to what I said before about the whole thing being just a little bit sad, just because I really wish that we had a lot more competition and a lot more sort of even spread of the talent across the continents. But unfortunately, not to be the case. That being said, I mean, you're right. They did seem to be not necessarily playing to their fullest, especially at the beginning, but they didn't need to. It's the long and short of it.
Crazy.
Yeah, I think Korea, especially SK Telecom, all the teams just perform so well. Like in every game, even teams like Jin Air Falcons, who haven't done very successfully, still play at such a high level. And but the way that SK Telecom has been losing in OGN is really to do with a unique way, not even a unique way, just dealing with their mid laner Faker, making sure you shut down Bengi, and it's a really niche kind of strategy. You have to play it against SK Telecom, and none of the other teams who haven't versed SK Telecom over and over again aren't able to implement it. So I don't think really SK Telecom was even underperforming or in a slum. I think it's just some of the other Korean teams really know how to verse them a lot better, and that has been really shining through on OGN. But I still think going into All Stars, SK Telecom were really prepared and really performing really well still.
I'm actually really glad that you mentioned Bengi as well, because Bengi was said to be the sort of weak link, and we saw at All Stars, that he was playing fantastically. I mean, when he doesn't get shut down early on with a lot of effort from the enemy team, I mean, he just runs rampant and destroys people. It was actually super cool to see, especially his Kazakhs, man. Oh my goodness, just ripping faces off. It was terrifying.
Yeah.
Well, now let's go into our community highlights. We asked the community about what they thought was some of the best plays and things that happened at the All-Stars. We had one from Amber. Amber says that Baron fight where Sinai tried killing the ward at the wall and Pumandu Zyra ulted all over his face. Zyra is above Zyra's life. That was.
Oh and then Faker just insta-killed him and then stole Baron, I think, straight afterwards. Yeah, that was a bit embarrassing. Unfortunately, Cyanide he shouldn't have been hung over for the beginning of the tournament. That was a little bit of an oversight on his part.
Pretty hilarious. We have another one from Timothy Light. SKT vs Fnatic, and being able to choose their S3 winning champions and their skins made the game even greater to watch an already intense match. That was really, really cool how they did that. I was really glad.
I was actually sad more teams didn't pick up the SKT skins, just because like they just come out and they're super baller, and there was just so many people. And especially the one thing that really made me upset, oh my goodness, Toys didn't play with the TPA Oriana.
Yeah. I noticed that too.
What? What? Really?
Why would you not play
one
your own skin?
chance, one opportunity. Sorry to quote Eminem,
man.
but I
He
sort of
let
had
it
to.
slip.
I had to. Wow. Toys, please.
I was so excited to watch it. Just so excited. Just Toys.
Toying with our hearts.
Exactly. He was such a god. He was such a god at Season 2 Worlds. Oh my god.
Yeah, his
magical.
Oriana was, it was truly
Next level.
magical.
Mm-hmm.
It's great.
Sent
we have another one
shockwaves through
from
my heart.
That was terrible. You interrupted me for that one.
Yep, I did. Worth it. Calling it right now. I'm typing in all chat. Hang on, just give me a sec.
Worthily you.
All right, Sebastian Oliver Stewart said, best moment was definitely Meteos's fail flash above blue buff. I think that happens to everyone, and it is just like...
I don't think he even should have flashed that. I don't think he was going to get the kill. Like, even with his flash and the autos, that wasn't worth it. I think that was a sign of them, Cloud9 really being on tilt by that stage. And Mateus is a really mechanically strong player, so for him to make an error like that is a pretty big deal.
He was excited, man. He just wanted that kill.
Those fail flashes, man. It's like Eing into a team. It's just like, I did that. I'm just going to shake it off. We're just going to go with it. Like, whatever.
That's just classy, though. That's just keeping it classy.
Style points. It's all about style points.
Yeah.
Go 1-for-1, dude. 1v4. You're still winning, dude. It's fine.
Just going to get that Zonya's Hourglass, man. It's all about the style.
Yeah? Wait, you guys don't run Zonya's every time on Caitlyn?
Oh,
best
I've been doing it. Great success.
Yeah. No, you got to make sure you get that 90 caliber net damage. Wow.
And traps.
Yeah, traps there with AP as well.
All the cupcake damage. We also have another one from Shane. Oh my god. Oh, sorry. OMG Alan. Unintentional BM not shaking Faker's hand after the game versus SKT1.
I remember that. That looked so bad. I think that he probably just didn't know what the heck was going on. But I tweeted as soon as I saw it. I'm like, oh my god. He didn't work on his opportunity to touch Faker. Imagine if some sort of the skill could be transferred. You know, it's important.
It's giving me tingles, man. Jesus,
I know,
touching Faker. Whoa.
Yeah, I don't think he can really hold it against Alan though. They're not really used to that. Shaking hands after the game is really Western tradition, but still, yeah, it's good for a few laughs, I guess.
Yeah, there's the fact that his name's Alan too, which just makes it amazing. Because the fact that he ignored Faker just makes you go back to that amazing clip with the little squirrel that's going, Alan, 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 and Alan's just sitting there not doing anything. Alan. And it's just magical. The fact that D-Man also made that joke really subtly when they first introduced OMG. Oh my god, my whole life was just improved at that stage. Really good moment.
I literally have no idea what video you're talking about. So
oh my god, I will find it, and we'll find a way of showing everyone in the thing right now. Hang on. Oh,
link it to chat.
I'm trying to work out what it is.
Whilst he's doing that,
anyway, while I'm doing that,
we also have another comment from Benjamin. Definitely the Earth game on day one, seeing Byoga King, I like that, Byoga King, okay, dealt so much damage, and also judging that watching Earth is fun, seeing the pros doing it makes it even better. I agree. I really enjoyed watching the pros play Earth. It was like mechanical geniuses being able to spam everything. It was just chaotic. fun.
Earth game was great. It had one of my favorite moments of the whole weekend. Was really just watching Shy sit at the enemy nexus, just gripping everyone out of the fountain over and over again. Just Shy, just continually trying to grip everyone the entire game, just gripping people and killing them into his own death. That was the greatest thing for me, especially after Bjergsen was like taking it nice and serious. He bought the Hextech Gunblade. He was really trying to like get kills, and then having Shy,
like
the top laner, just hooking
18-1.
people constantly. That was all he was trying to do. It was great.
Yeah.
It was very enjoyable to watch. Yeah, we had a great time. It was a good way to start the day and the whole weekend, in fact.
Did anyone actually look at? Wait, was it Team Ice? Was Team Ice the one that lost in that? Can't remember.
Yeah,
yes.
Team Ice lost
Yeah,
that game.
Team Ice. Mad Life and Archie's builds were horrible. Like Archie went the Lizard Elder into Triforce, something like that.
Yeah,
and
that
then
was
Mad
really
Life had an
sad.
Athens.
Yeah.
And I was like, why do you have an Athens?
It really seemed like
Needs that
Bjergsen
cooldown
had put
reduction,
a lot
man.
of thought into his build as well. So it was a bit like, oh, yeah, you definitely wanted to win this game.
Oh, it just
Yeah.
shows that Bjergsen also played a lot of Earth at the same time. And when you're talking about players like Madlife, who I guarantee did not play one game,
Yeah.
they would not have. They would have been like training, and only training, and always training, and maybe eating, but then training. So like they wouldn't have had a chance to do that. Whereas Bjergsen, I mean, he's just chilling in the TSM house. I mean, training sometimes, playing Earth other times, no problem at all. They also had their show match, of course, against Cloud9, which really,
that was the
I
best
think,
thing to
gave them
watch.
the edge. It gave
Yeah,
them the
that
edge
was
as far
amazing.
as the competitive Earth scene.
There was a Korean
It's
show
concerned.
match for Earth as well between, I think it was Frost versus one of the other teams, maybe KT Rollstar. And yeah, that was
okay.
really great to watch as well. They played it. It came out probably the day after the TSM Cloud9 game, so they would have had a little bit of exposure to it. I think that's why Shy was just like, "Yep, I'm just going on Blitzcrank and I'm just going to hook." But
The fact
yeah,
that he
it was-
built like the tier as well was just so baller. Just because
Yeah,
like
I
he
know.
knew
The
that like
shield.
the cooldown on that passive as well is like so low that
Yeah.
he's like always having this gigantic shield of doom, and
Yeah,
the
and he
fact
just
that you
built full
always
tank.
have full shield. It's like wow, I didn't even
Yeah.
realize the cinemamages.
yeah, it was great.
I wish that the actual game had as much much fun as the casters did on the C9 versus TSM game though for Earth, because it was just amazing just watching Freak walk over, grab like the microphone and just say,
Yeah.
kill Bjergsen. He's the best person on the team. And they're like, he's dead. And he's like, kill him again. He's back up now. It was just so
Yeah.
perfect.
That was great. I wish they had Revive though. The Earth when like the first 24 hours when they released it and Revive was still enabled was so very, very fun. You just suicide and just revive back in, teleport in. It was thoroughly enjoyable. So it was a shame they got rid of that. But yeah, the Earth game was really enjoyable to watch.
Oh, it was good. It kind of like you had to sort of play well to live long enough because you can push down really, really fast.
Yeah.
Well, it's just the
Yeah.
massive snowball potential of that game mode. I mean, it was whoever was going to get like the first few kills was just going to decimate everybody else. I mean, that was just how it was going to go. The fact that Double F picked Jace was just dumb. Made me really... He must have just thought that they were going to be playing on Howling Abyss or something like that, where Jace is just broken as hell. But I just didn't like that pick. I mean, Riot Benji will be really, really like upset at me because like it's the only champion he thinks exists. But still, I just thought that like that pick on Double Lift was just dumb. It was
Yeah,
not
especially
impressive.
against the Chinese and Korean bot lane. It seems like they were just sidestepping all the Jace Qs through the gates, just like, just really
Yeah.
casually. Not a big deal.
And Bjergsen just arcane shifts every
Yeah.
half a second. Just,
Yeah.
wow, okay.
Now,
Huge.
talking about something that really cool, we saw Froggen on his Anivia, and we do have a
Destroying everyone.
comment here from Kai Stratton. I may have fallen in love with Ice Captain Froggen, saving his beloved Agnivia from inevitable death with the best teleport ever. Yes. Yes, a million times over, yes.
I thought he was backing. I was like, what is going on? Oh, teleport, right, yes. Of course.
Sneaky.
No worries.
And it was
And
great to
his-
see him stack his Magi to 20s. I haven't seen a Magi fully stacked in a long
Yeah,
time.
I know.
It was great.
His build was ridiculous. It was like Sunfire Kate Warmogs by the end
Yeah,
of it. It was just like,
that's what he
his-
commented on
that's
it,
the
yeah.
Frog and Anivia, man. That's
He
how it
always
works. He
goes
builds like,
Warmogs.
yeah.
I'm surprised. Yeah,
Oh
he
my
usually
God.
has like Spirit Visage, Warmog, Sunfire
Yeah.
into like.
It's actually quite a viable build, like because Anivia is just a stupid hero. Like she doesn't fit the meta nowadays, but back when she was really popular, people still used to build Warmogs in really competitive games. She can literally buy any item on the champion and still succeed with him.
Yeah,
Well,
her scaling, her
especially if
level
you're
scaling
Froggen.
is ridiculous.
Yeah.
He just absolutely has mastered that champion.
There's
Yeah.
also the fact that like Froggen, this is what he used to build as well. It'd be Magi's into Warmogs like every single game. It's
Yeah.
just so dumb. Oh my goodness. I liked it though. That being said, I still think Crepo is the better Anivia. Just if anyone wants to know, still think
Ooh.
It'd be
Probably
fighting
better
words,
than
Atlas.
100% win rate in competitive play. 100%.
One game.
Hey, I'm not saying those kind of statistics. I'm saying percentages. Okay, 100% win rate, competitive MPS.
Froggen also has the great Blitzcrank win rate from that game. But yeah, you're right.
That game, yeah. Remember that game?
Mm-hmm.
Now, we also have another comment here from Samuel Shi. When Faker broke his no-skin tradition
By accident.
by
Yeah.
accident.
Yeah.
That's a great
After
way
the
to go.
game, he found out that his friend was playing on his account or something like that. Oh no, hang on. He'd done it one other time. He accidentally played Battle Bunny Riven. I think that was not in this tournament. He accidentally played that because he had somebody else play on the account or something like that, and he accidentally clicked on Battle Bunny Riven. So that was the only other time that he's ever played with a skin, which I find really sad because I think skins are the best part of League of Legends. That's just me.
Awesome.
Top 5.
Mm-hmm.
Now, another one was Micah Wallace. My favorite part was either where Faker was dodging all them Ziggs bombs and the Nami ult as Oriana, or the 1v1s.
Yeah, that was a serious play. He dodged the Ziggs ulti, the Nami wave. Oh, that was impressive. If I was in that situation, I would have been bam, dead straight away. But he just sidestepped so much. He must just have some serious mouse coordination, like to be able to click like that and just sidestep with virtually not even moving. Another really impressive move he made as well when he got ganked in mid by the Lee Sin and he just slightly changed the direction he was walking and missed the Lee Sin queue. Like, it was really impressive to watch. It just shows how mechanically strong he is of a player.
So
Yeah,
much
he's
Osu.
ridiculous.
Alright, we have our two winners as well, guys. These guys won our Riot codes for the RP. Katie Choppy, I'm sorry if I pronounced that incorrectly. The SKT Jax Dukes on the bot lane to exexecution on turrets.
That was awesome to watch.
Oh
Yes.
my, that was so
Oh,
sad.
that was so good.
That was just insane.
Amazing. He just didn't die. Like, he wouldn't die.
And the fact that the minion followed him around so that like you could just hide in the brush and then just jump back to the creep. Like, oh my god,
Yeah.
so sad.
And the Ren wasted so much time chasing him as well. Just so
Yeah,
much
yeah.
freaking time. For nothing. Just all for nothing.
And it would have been first
impact
blood as
play,
well.
everyone.
So it's even more that they lost the fact that they didn't pick up the free first blood. Yeah, that was an impressive play. I was watching that with my hands over my face, like, no way he's getting away. But impact. He's a solid player.
Damn right. And I actually thought that he wasn't going to get the execute because he was staying in combat so long with creep damage, but
Yep.
no, doesn't
He
matter.
must have been within maybe under a second, I'd say, because I didn't think he was close enough to not get an execute. But yeah, he obviously was timing it in his head and he can keep that cooldown really easily.
Yep. That's ridiculous.
And our last one, two out of the two winners, this is our last one. Pierce O'Hara Wild. Definitely Lemonation using Baron to kill Pumandu.
Oh, that was so cool. His Morgana was actually ridiculous. Like that whole weekend. Oh my god. Like some of his dark bindings were just absolutely out of control. And the fact that like he used Soul Shackles so perfectly, like the majority of the time as well, like he just gets so many sweet stuns. Oh man, Lemonation, I think it was just playing off his face like that whole tournament.
Yeah, it was really unfortunate that he didn't get to play Morgana against OMG because he's a really strong Morgana, but yeah, Lemonation's a great player. He's very smart as well. You can tell his notebook must have some serious things. I'd pay a lot of money to be able to read it.
Yeah, the power of the beard, man. It's the power of the beard.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
One day.
Yeah, exactly. I feel your pain, brother. Don't worry. Oh my god.
Oh, by the way, I did catch that pun. By the way, Atlas, the high impact play thing. I got it.
Much.
Yeah.
I just like to be
know.
subtle.
Yeah.
You know that I like to be subtle.
Oh, supernova. So many great puns.
So many subtle puns is what you mean.
I can't wait to hear more puns at Perth.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
Oh god. Don't prepare yourself, and then maybe I won't surprise you with terrible puns. Who knows?
Now that we've gone through most of the highlights and stuff like that, go back to, reality with the league. Brom.
You mean Angus, right?
Okay, yeah.
You want me to throw it in the chat, the link? It's pretty great.
Yeah, I think you should.
Yeah,
I think
need to see
everyone
this.
really needs to see the origin of Brom.
Some of you might have seen this before. It's not that new, but yeah, I'll link it in the chat.
I reckon it's a massive testament to Riot, though, because the fact that they listen to their fans so much and really pay attention to what the community wants. I mean, it's not necessarily a direct copy of what this is, but it's just so similar. And they utilize exactly what this champion wanted to be and give it the Riot spin that makes it absolutely fine, And then, they add the sweet lore, and man, the web comic thing that they did was just, super cool. And his mechanics are amazing. Having an extra wind wall is pretty cool. I like it.
It's great to verse from the bot lane. I would recommend it. Fun champion to play against. Love it so much. Great.
That's sarcasm, though. Wow.
Yeah, it's true. I think it's great, that they added him. But if they added an octopus that shoots laser beams in Vel'Koz, they can add a manly support, I think. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
You need
what do you
more
think-
manly supports.
Yeah. What do you feel about his strengths, though? What aspects of him really, point out to you? Other than the Yasuo wind wall, that he gets through his E and the movement speed increase he gets from, what else makes you think, holy damn, this champion is terrifying?
Ridiculous. The trading potential of his passive is just out of control. He hits his Q on anyone. It's you almost if you have follow up from your AD carry, you are going to win the trade flat out. It
Scales from health.
Ridiculous.
Does more
really
damage,
solid.
more health. It's
It's one of those things as well that's going to be extremely great on live games in competitive play compared to solo queue. Because if you have that coordination to set up those stuns with your bot lane, it's really deadly.
Yeah, the focus factor would just be insane because you can stack that up so incredibly quickly, especially if you've got an Ezreal or something like that has multiple auto attack resets and stuff like that. You can just stack it up all the time, forever, times infinity.
Yeah.
So super cool. But I actually think that the mechanic's really cool because the fact that the Q is stopped by creeps, so you can counterplay him quite effectively by standing behind a creep wave and trying to avoid that. Also, just don't get into melee range. That's fine. Just punish him really, really hard for coming close to you, and you should be okay. So there is counterplay available. I think that his numbers are a little bit high at this point, just because even his ultimate without any items is dumb, does a crap load of damage, and also applies that mark to everyone. I mean, I have a feeling that most of his abilities could just do no damage, and he could just be that tank that just stands in the front and shields everything, and he'd still be viable, to be honest.
yeah.
So I don't know. That's just me anyway. I've only played a couple of games with him.
Christian.
I'm pretty interested to see how he does in the solo lanes as well. I've versed a couple Brom tops, and yeah, he scales quite well. His kit is just really unique. I think there will definitely be a period where people aren't used to dealing with him, where he'll be really strong, and he'll definitely get picked up. So even in the solo lane, I've seen a few jungles as well, but yeah, he's one of those characters that you look at. He's definitely there to make a more enjoyable gaming experience for the general players, not as much as a really strong kind of competitive hero, which I would consider Thresh as. But yeah, I think he's well designed and he's fun. So what really more can you ask for?
And he's manly. You gotta remember that he's manly.
The mustache. The damn mustache. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. But
and if you have his Dragon Slayer skin as well, I mean, the fact that the little Poro that's dancing on top of his shield is like a dragon Poro. Genius!
Yeah,
Genius!
He's great.
It's an insta-buy. Wow. Well played. GG, right? Take my money. I'm throwing it at the screen. Why wouldn't you take my money? Oh, God.
do you find him how do you find that he stacks up against other supports? Like Christian mentioned the Thresh, that he finds Thresh to be more of a competitive champion. But how do you think he will do in like the competitive scene with he's got a lot of synergy to him. Like him with a Yasuo works out pretty well. I mean, his W grants armor and MR to your AD carry, your mid, whoever you jump to. He has like the Lee Sin jump mechanic with minions. He has a massively amazing kit for team fighting. Like, how do you think he'll stack up against like a Leona or Thresh, Blitz, Zyra, Lulu, etc., etc.?
I think this is in your ballpark, Christian, but I will state that I think that he definitely shines in a lane against someone that doesn't have a lot of disengage. Like against something like a Janna or something like that can really stop those passive stacks from stacking is really, really important. The fact that they, have the tornado, they can get rid of the enemy AD carry, stop them from stunning. I mean, that's really, really important. Things like Nami Bubble would be handy as well. But if he gets on top of champions like that, then he's also just going to stun them and they're going to die because they're so squishy. So it's really difficult to pick where he's going to fit and what's going to necessarily come through to stop him. But I think this is where Christian can really shine with his analytical brain.
Yeah, thanks. I think his role, the problem is he's really going to lack when it comes to sieging. And sieging is something that's so important. It's like rotational sieging now is so important to developing those mid-game leads. But he doesn't offer enough to other champions along with his stun, especially when you're hitting a turret. But what I think he will be extremely deadly with is, especially in those 2v1 lane swaps or even the 4v0 push swaps, he's going to be really strong to play with. But his overall lane strength is high, but the lack of utility, especially with the lack of movement speed in a patch now that's so dedicated to mids who have really high utility and roaming potential and offer that siege strength, I think he won't be played. He'll be really strong if played correctly, but he won't fit into the meta as well as a lot of the other champions that are being played now do.
Wow.
I think that his shield is fantastic in sieging situations. If you're sieging down a turret and you're manly enough to go straight in, if you can out-rotate and get there before your enemy, then you chuck that shield down, and that's basically free damage for your AD carry if you're standing in the front of it. And if you get the drop on someone, then you can utilize that damage reduction really, really effectively, especially in the later stages of the game when these turrets aren't necessarily going to stay up for very long. Because then you can start a team fight afterwards, he can land a Q, he can land his ultimate, and really go for like impressive dive plays. I mean, I think that having that shield is really going to be effective. And even against poke comps as well, when you're really trying to stand in front and stop those Nidalee spears from destroying everyone, even though he still takes a fair bit of damage.
Yeah, his strengths are definitely there for those kind of situations, but what I think a bit of the issue is that he can't play in a standard support role in those siege situations. If he's going to be blocking with his shield, if he's going to be getting in there, he's going to have to sacrifice so much of his positioning to be in a spot, and he can't offer that kind of... He can stop the engages from coming in from the siege, but he can't defend or extend the siege period for that much longer. His shield is crazy, so until people get like used to dealing with it, it's going to be really strong. But I just don't think that he fits into the support role as well. He doesn't offer, and especially from being behind, I think he will really struggle with, because his just general lack of utility that is made up with in stats, especially his shield and especially his W. But yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how he goes.
Yeah, I'm excited too. Another interesting point from chat, actually, Pimpasaurus Rex mentioned counter-sieging against the Lucian. The nullification of the culling is really, really effective with that ultimate.
Lucian, Caitlyn, Graves. He, like, as an AD carry main, I just love the fact that Riot keeps on giving abilities that stop auto attacks, stop skill shots. It just makes things so much more fun for me. I mean, that Caitlyn's on 6 health. I'm going to ult, and then Braum's like, JK, get wrecked. Yep. And it's like, wow, quality. I love my life.
But it's interesting you bring up like a lot of those things, because that strength is often what I would say you would want your top laner to be bringing to your team, so that he can get in there, put that shield out, do a lot of those things. Your support is just going to be too easy to pick off, I think, and he's going to be having to sacrifice that positioning. His Q isn't that powerful if you're a support, especially in comparison to, say, Soraka, Lulu, especially the champions that offer movement speed, is just going to be outclassed once it comes to scaling, I think. If you're avoiding fights, he's going to be really lacking. But yeah,
But you're
that's
not,
just my
because
idea.
he's so manly. With a moustache like that, never avoid a fight. Always use your stash. Get straight in there and kill people. That'd be my recommendation.
What do you
Always fighting
think?
all the time.
That people would play him more like a Leona and not like
That's what I was thinking.
not
Yeah.
you wouldn't go in there and make the plays like you would with a Thresh, but you would use that as a peel for your AD like a Leona. They both have the AoE ults, they both have the stuns, and he's able to use those shields to stop like anyone from really jumping on him with those skill shots.
His peels are kind of iffy. Like if you do them perfectly, they're great. But in extended engages, and if you're fighting early in the lane, I feel he's only really able to peel one champion off. And if you get someone like a Zyra who's putting out a lot of AP damage as well, he's not that great at it. So I think it's still. I still have to wait until we see people play him a lot better. But yeah, I'm not sure about that. How well he can peel for a team, especially.
Well, being able to put his passive on multiple people and everyone being affected by that, I think that was a really cool implement that they added. Because usually, if somebody gets hit by one thing and then you hit somebody else with it, like say Silver Bolts, it then disappears on that first target. But he adds it to everyone, and everyone can proc it. So that might be also useful.
I just find like the only real issue is that once his ult's down and his passive's down, like he's got a decent cooldown, he doesn't offer the peel that Leona does, because Leona has like not only that 0.5 second snare and the Q, which is on like a 3-second cooldown. Braum just has a slow, and the slow's good, but it's not great. It's a decent slow, but I find that Leona would be a much better peeler than Braum. Like Thresh, obviously, like those kind of champions, because they have consistent, ridiculous CC that is like, I mean, Lulu.
You count his
Qs,
passive though.
Yeah, but it's
passive procs off
quite a big
auto attacks
cooldown
as
though.
well.
I'm just saying, like once that's on cooldown, there's like a good 8 seconds or whatever it is that someone can just jump on him, like jump on the AD carry and stuff like that. Yeah.
And where Leona's really strong is she can go from peeling to aggression really easily.
Instantaneously, yeah.
Whereas Braum, if you begin peeling and if you begin positioning defensively, it becomes really hard to get into that aggressive situation without making it extremely obvious. So I feel that's where he's gonna, if people can play him correctly and they can get around those little kind of positioning errors, that he'll be really successful. But I feel he's going to take a bit longer for people to abuse how OP he is.
I think in a burst comp as well, he'll really shine. The fact that you can really layer his ultimate on with a whole lot of other burst AoE ultimate situations, like you chuck a Lysandra in there and then make sure that you like proc his passive afterwards. I mean, that's so much lockup. Like, it's just gonna be absolutely ridiculous. And stuff like of course, Morgana's Soul Shackles and things like that. I mean, you'll have just people stunned forever. It'll be just disgusting. But as you say, once everything's on cooldown, it makes it a little bit more difficult. So extended fights and stuff like that are going to make things a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, extended fights. Just especially because like once he does damage to someone, all of his allies proc the passive. So like he's going to have to be really reserved about his auto attacks if he wants, or his Qs if he wants to make it like a lockup scenario. Because otherwise you just waste a stun with another stun, and it's just like it ruins the whole CC train. So yeah.
Alright guys, maybe enough about Braum now. I think we've covered pretty much all the bases. Let's talk more oceanic. So we have Curse. Bum, bum, bum.
Dun, dun, dun. I don't think we need to talk about it. I mean, like, they just went under the radar. There was like a post afterwards, and then they just qualified anyway. So, GG, it's all done. We're fine. Don't worry about it. Woo! What even happened?
Who invites you to a talk show?
That'd be Jason Z. Gotta talk to that dude. He's a bit of an idiot.
Anyway, we're going to talk about it. For those that don't know what happened, because you have so much to say, Max, Slapdragons, could you give our viewers a summary of the situation?
So basically, Curse won the Challenger qualifier, but as it turns out in the last game, Chelby couldn't connect to the game, and Perfection logged on to his account and basically finished the game. And there was a lot of speculation as to why that happened, and also there was a little bit of confusion as to whether it had actually happened. He didn't log into the voice communication, which is how he sort of got caught up. The fact that they followed it up afterwards is really great props to Riot. The fact that they know that they can identify the fact that something's definitely awry and then follow through and make sure that they take the right precautions. And so then, of course, they were DQ'd and Avant-Garde Redemption got in instead after that. I like how we had a ba-ding sound like just after that came through. It's like I got a point. Yes.
Correct. All right. So now there was a lot of accusation about DDoSing being the cause of why he couldn't connect. What are your guys' thoughts on DDoSing?
Oh, DDoSing.
Oh, everyone loves DDoSing.
Man, the moment you're in promos in Diamond, someone's DDoSed like 3 of your teammates or like 1 of your teammates, or it's just it's so common. It's really, really bad.
Yeah.
Really bad, yeah.
The whole situation was really bad and it was really unfortunate, but they knew that they were breaking the rules when they got the ultimate player to log on. So you can't really disagree with the way Riot handled it. It's a shit situation. No one wants to be put in that, but I agree with the way it was handled, really.
Yeah. I think that it may have been a little bit lenient, just based on the fact that it's the Curse organization. I mean, they weren't necessarily permabanned or anything like that. I mean, it's pretty hardcore to like basically cheat in a massive qualification matchup.
And they definitely knew they were cheating. That's the big thing to me. The fact that they knew that they were breaking the rules when they tried to do that. It was unfortunate that that's the only option that they thought they had, but they knew they were breaking the rules.
They didn't know for sure. They didn't know for sure during the game that they were breaking any rules. They had to find out afterwards based on other information that they could get post game in order to make that decision. So of course, like when we were casting the event, of course, we had no idea that anything like that was happening.
Yeah.
And I mean, admittedly, Chelby did flash in an interesting time at Blue Buff, but that was because I think the buttons were around the wrong way, unfortunately, on that particular account. But I mean, it all comes back down to the whole DDoSing issue as well. I mean, was it in fact the fact that Chelby couldn't play because of the DDoS that was really the issue? Because I think personally that Perfections would not have played that as well as Chelby could have. So I think the outcome of the match is not in question, because I think if they had their actual jungler, they would have been a stronger team and would have still won. And they were definitely looking fantastic in the competition anyway. So, I mean, it all comes down to different factors, and there's like how much blame do you put on them? It's difficult to. Personally, I just prefer to stay impartial and just let go. And the fact that they got in then afterwards at CG was really, really awesome. And they came in after taking a game off immunity. So, hell yeah. That was actually a really exciting series. Like that whole event was just really, really good.
It's always really cool when you see like a team like, because immunity is like, you know, tip top. It's really cool to see teams like beat them in a game, because it's like, wow, these guys are human. Radier isn't just some deity. Like, wow, what happened?
And this is Little Wraith as well. You know, they beat them in the Go for All earlier. Like, I think it was late last year or really early this year, and that was super damn cool.
Yeah, it was
and then
amazing
they come along and they do it again, even though they get wrecked in like the slanted best of 3 at the end. But still, we got to see more games, and it was way cool. So yeah, that's my take anyway. I'm sort of happy that it's all sort of smoothed now, and we can just get into round of 8 and everything will be fine. And the fact that your Soul Shell Chuffer got in as well. Oh yeah, they're my favorite team, by the way. Just because I'm an unbiased caster, they're my favorite team. And
good old Denian. Gotta love Denian.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Man.
It's little cutie cheeseroni, man. Every time I get
Daniel
to say
Brown.
that name, it just makes me feel so good.
Don't you
And
mean
he plays
Temp
Swain like a boss. No, not Temp name. Little cutie cheeseroni. His Swain is just next level, man. It's next level.
Yeah, it's really fun to verse. I love it. Another great
sure.
thing. Wayne and Braum are just...
Your sarcasm, man. It's just does things to me.
Yep, it's wonderful. On the note of Curse, Dignitas getting dropped.
Yeah, drop Notas.
Big.
Lucky.
BL.
That's...
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's devastated.
Yeah.
I was so sad.
Yeah, it really is sad. It's understandable that they had that kind of clause in their contract that they had to make it to the winter round of 8. But it would really be great to see some of the big sponsors really backing their teams a lot more than that. But I guess that's the way the cookie crumbles.
It does. Thank you, Bruce Almighty.
Yep.
I think that the real thing that's a disappointment for Dignitas is the fact that their complete roster was destroyed. With the loss
Yeah.
of Little Uber Giant, that was just the whole
play
team
AFL.
collapsing at that point, because their bottom lane was easily their strongest point, and we saw that with T-Gun it just wasn't the same. Even when they had Little Uber Giant, I mean not Little Uber Giant, Uber Giants bro in the bottom lane as well when he was playing in the ACL qualifier, they just weren't the same team. They got 2-0'd in the top lane, like just 2v2, and that did not happen when they were Frenetic Array. Like, it just did not happen at all because they were just this massively strong bottom lane. And I think it's just really, really sad. The fact that T-Gun didn't have enough time to really build that synergy was just a bit disappointing.
I mean, the Uber brothers have been playing together for years as well. Like, I remember them NA. Like,
oh yeah,
they've been together for a long time, and I can't imagine how Ubero would feel after having such insane synergy with his brother.
Yeah.
And then getting forced with another support. I mean, T-Gun's a great support, but it's just the synergy was just so much.
And they're not
of an
the
issue.
same players. They just don't
No.
play the same way as well. Little Uber Giant's a little bit more passive, likes to stay back, take the engagements that he wants. And him and his brother just knew what was going to happen. Like, based on the interactions in the bottom lane, they know when to go in. They're like, okay, this is on cooldown, let's kill them. And they barely need to communicate it. They just both be right in there and killing someone. So, I don't know. It's just a little bit sad that it just took a little bit too long to get to any point like that. And with T-Gun, it just wasn't the same.
And then benching Rippy, picking up Senpai. That was another big thing because they had 3 roster changes in like 6 weeks, something like that. Like, that is a lot before qualifiers. That is a huge amount.
Yeah. It takes away what the team actually was when Dignitas actually picked them up. So I think it makes a lot of sense. I mean, I'd really like to see them consolidate and really come back and try and fight for a position in the finals that is coming up after winter. And I think at that point, I mean, they might get a chance to find some sponsorship again. And I know on the part of J.K. Smithy, he has been very, very adamant about staying on track, making sure that they still stay competitive. And it's been really, really good to see the fact that this hasn't been another just, oh no, we lost, let's disband, which has happened a lot to a lot of up-and-coming teams. But now it's like, it really inspires me that the scene as a whole is growing, you know?
Yeah, that's right. So do you think that maybe there could have been anything more that Dignitas could have done to win these games? Like, or do you think it was just
DDoS maybe?
Philip? We're going to ignore that comment.
Oh my god.
Do you think that they were maybe doomed from the start as soon as they needed to start replacing people? Or do you think that there was something else that they could have done?
I think the only answer would be hardcore practice and making sure that they were super prepared. But to be honest, a lot of the teams that they were facing as well were really consolidated. I mean, even Avant-Garde Redemption were looking really, really strong because they've had that roster for quite some time now. And a lot of their players are really, really strong. So even going up against them, it was difficult. I mean, they had a lot of opportunities to qualify, but to be honest, I don't know. I think that they could only really give Your Soul Shall Chuffer a run for their money at this point.
Yeah,
but even they're my favorite.
I mean, Frey used to be
they could
like
beat them.
when they were like, as you said, when they were full roster, when that was like the original Frey team, they were insane. Like, really, really good.
Easy.
And then
easy.
Yeah, and now there's like another roster change. There's speculation that Claire's the new jungler. So, you know, Rippy, Senpai, Claire, and this has all happened in like a month and a bit. That's insane. Just because mid lane and jungle have to have such intense like synergy. And just picking up all these new junglers, and I mean, there was a few communication issues with Senpai, and like all these kind of things are just happening all at once, and it's really bad, especially for a company like Dig, who is such a big company from the US. You know, everyone knows who Dignitas is. You know, Skara, Amakitabai, etc., etc. And they're coming over, and the team that they picked up is just changing so much in such a little amount of time. I mean, it's unavoidable since, you know, Little Uber's going to the AFL and stuff, but it's just it's sad. It's sad for Oceanic Esports that I mean, they came and went so quickly.
And losing the Uber family as well. Oh man, it was such a cool story.
Yeah.
Losing the Uber
But
family.
I think that it's important to note that the fact that Dignitas dropped them and that they were having that struggles really shows how much of an influence the Dignitas organization actually had over their team. I think it wasn't a huge commitment. If it was more backing, that could have really helped them. They would have had the infrastructure to teach them how to play in that tournament, how to teach them play better. But the Dignitas seemed more of a label than as an actual part of their team. Yeah.
No, that could be very true. So what do you think is going to happen as repercussion to the scene of Oceania, now that they've just kind of taken back their label? We've only got Cursed now.
Your soul shall Dignitas. Yeah? Team?
You really
Your
like
team-
YSSC, man.
Your show shall own Team Solo.
It's because their name's so easy to say during a stream. So easy.
I always
Your
get so
soul shall
depressed
chuff.
because it's called Your Soul Shall Chuffer, and there's no chuffer. It's like, my head.
He was the manager, man. Come on.
No chuffer. I love chuffer.
Good old Chuffer. Chuffer's a beast, dude. Oh my goodness.
Terrifying.
Every time I see him play, oh my god. It's just, don't want to go near you. Sorry. I'm out of here. Too aggressive.
Once again, ADC. He plays a lot of Zed. Another great champion I really enjoy playing against.
I've seen him play Udyr and Caitlyn the most. And both of them are just terrifying.
Every time I play against him, it's Zed. Terrifying.
Mm-hmm. Your soul shall solo mid? Oh my
That's what I
god,
was
you're a
trying to
fucking
say.
genius.
Elizabeth did have
Wow.
that,
Yeah.
But we didn't actually answer the question. What do you guys think the repercussions of them retracting their name from Oceania? Will there be any repercussions? Do you think maybe other labels will look at us and go, they already lost Dignitas. Do you think we should bother?
They said that they were still looking at investing in Oceania. They just thought that at the moment it really wasn't going to work out. The fact that, the team had so many roster changes, they weren't in the round of 8. I mean, they're not going to get the exposure that they want. They have expressed the fact that they want to keep trying to help Oceania. So we'll see whether they come back. I mean, I don't think it necessarily speaks too badly. I think it's just unfortunate that the team went through all this. And I guess it does reflect badly on us as a scene if people don't take into context the reasons behind it.
Do you reckon this will have any of... Oh, sorry. Go, Christian.
I'm just hoping that it means Scar is going to move to Oceania on the start of his own team.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Dignitas,
We
Oce,
could
The dream.
Scar leading
Scar
team.
the dream. Scar the
Yep.
dream.
Yep. Charlie 101 to be in that team, definitely. Oh, see it.
I've been
He
told I
has to.
look like him, by the way, Atlas. So.
Oh, really? I
Do you see
actually
any
kind of do.
resemblance?
Yeah, I actually kind of see it. I'm not going to lie to you. Soz, man. Oh, your hair's a bit higher.
I don't
know what that means necessarily. But
I thought-
yeah, that's what I'm going with. Your hair's a bit higher than his
All right.
is. So
Okay, we'll
you're not
just go with
Charlie
that.
101, be
Yeah.
fine.
I'm going to get my hair up. Ooh,
Wow,
yeah.
now you're Charlie 101 now. He's really
Oh,
cool.
look
Nice
good.
guy.
Yeah.
But do you reckon that this, I also was talking about repercussions. Do you reckon that this would have any, issues with maybe an Oceanic TSM team?
I don't
maybe-
think that'll ever happen.
Oh, that would be
unless they can get immunity or something like that, because TSM will only invest if they can guarantee to have the best possible team ever, and it's sort of guaranteed. I mean, I think that I've spoken about this to friends of mine. I just don't think it's necessarily going to happen. I wouldn't get your hopes up.
Bring the odd one. Yeah, he can start his own team, yeah. I'm sure he
Yeah,
would
Did
that's
it
get
true.
before.
The odd army.
That's actually, I was really considering that with how many pros have been retiring, and a lot of them seem almost forced retirements. How long till it be until we see a pro move to Oceania and start their own team? Or will it ever happen?
I feel like they're retiring because they want to retire, not because they want to they're not winning enough or something like that. I don't know. I guess.
Yeah, the odd one seemed still pretty keen to compete. He just really wanted to see TSM succeed. But I think if the infrastructure gets built up more and it becomes sustainable, so that people can move to Oceania, people want to play in our region because it's a good place to live, really.
That's true. That's true. Except for the fact that it was just announced to have the most expensive cost of living ever. So
Yeah,
GG.
that's true. But
We got
if
some
you're
good
getting an
pies, though,
income,
man. We
yeah.
got some
Yeah, we've
good
got
pies.
the dumbest prime minister. But let's not bring politics into this, especially after the budget. Okay, GG. Just leave it. No worries at all. Let's move on. Next topic. Yay.
All right. Well, so basically, after last week, after asking Minky what his where he got his name, I was a little hesitant to
why
ask.
did you? Wow.
I didn't know.
Wow.
I didn't know.
Rookie mistake.
I'm learning.
This story
I'm
was
so
so
young.
epic. My whole internet like disconnected.
Yeah.
It was
I
that
actually
epic.
grew facial hair for once. Like it was so.
Yeah, listen to that in
intense.
person makes you want to die. Like you actually just cannot. Yeah, keep
Can't
a will
mute
to
him.
live. No, you can't. I actually left. I didn't hear the punchline. The first time, of course. he says it
TLDR
every
beach.
other time as well. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So
Speaking
basically,
of Origins, sorry, I do just want to ask before we get into all the community stuff. All right, is that okay? Is that okay? We've had a lot of people ask about shoutcasting. Now we do have Atlus here joining us. He has shoutcasted for Riot in Oceania. That's really, really cool. So we want to ask you, how did you get started in shoutcasting?
Well, you could almost tell the story as well, to be perfectly honest, Miss
I
Alyssa.
could, but it's not my story to tell.
It's not, but actually, Alyssa and I actually got in contact with the same person. A little bit afterwards. Definitely have to give Alyssa credit for this one. And I was at Gamester, and I did our first couple of practice casts, and it was pretty terrible, to be perfectly honest. But it was a whole lot of fun, and I basically just did that for as long as I possibly could. And afterwards, sort of that wasn't necessarily going where I wanted it to, so I broke off and started up Hot Soggy Baggins with my friend Dale. And basically, we'd cast, I think it was Cyber Gamer matches that weren't going to get cast.
Yeah.
Oh,
I know
everyone
Dale.
loves Dale. Because he never fails, man. He never fails to create love. That's his beautiful way. And anyway, we casted a whole lot of the Cyber Gamer matches and just did some dumb things together, just talked a whole lot of crap and just had a whole lot of good fun, and then got picked up by ACL. And so basically a lot of 2013, we casted ACL Melbourne together, and then I moved up and did ACL Sydney as well. And from there, spoke to Benji. He made me change my name, which was really unfortunate. He cut my hair, and then I could cast for him. It was pretty cool. That was basically the journey, the Slappy Baggins journey.
So that was your journey. Could you give us tips for anyone that is looking to get into shoutcasting?
Basically, do it a lot. I think that's the main point is sit down, open up some replays, or also watch competitive games on mute because there's a lot more analytical stuff that you can go on, or you can just open up your client, just spec a random game and just cast over it, depending on what kind of caster you want to be. But make sure that you're just doing it a lot. That way you get the flow, you get the rhythm. Finding someone to cast with as well is fantastic because having really good chemistry with people is really, really good. Also, make sure that you have the correct voice for it as well, because a lot of the time, if you just don't have the hardware, you're not going to be able to do it. I'm sorry, it's just what's going to happen. I mean, some people, maybe she's born with it. Maybe it's Maybelline. I'm still not sure whether mine's fine, but I'm doing okay so far, and that's what I'm going with. So if you think that you can talk well, if you've always had skills in public speaking, then just go for it. Just cast heaps and then find a way to get on some sort of stream somewhere. I mean, you can talk to, there's all sorts of people that stream League of Legends competitively here in Australia, and just find your way into the community and make yourself known. That's basically the way to do it.
Do you have any hopes and dreams of what you want to accomplish as you go on your shoutcasting journey?
Whoa. Well, continue casting for as long as possible is my absolute hope and dream. And basically to keep improving as well. I mean, I have got a long way to go in comparison to people like Pastry Time, who is a massive sort of role model for me. Like he was one of the first, especially the first Australian shoutcaster that I ever heard, and his style of casting, he's got a really story-driven way of telling a game, and it's just fantastic when you get this level of articulation plus the will to want to know more about what's going on as well. And that's sort of I'm watching a lot of other people as well. It's just been a massive inspiration. So I just want to get there, basically. That's my main aim.
Do you just want to
We'll
be
see
like
what
Freak?
happens. No.
Oh,
Sorry. No, he's no Joe Miller, man.
You gotta be like Digimwombat. He's the ultimate caster.
Oh, you said it. Oh, his voice, man. It's like caramel.
It's amazing.
Oh, I can't handle it. I cannot handle it. It's so good. It's like he's announcing like some hilarious like radio show, but it's League of Legends. And then he's like, "Oh, yeah, I could just talk about Wombat forever." That guy's just apparently he's just massively BM, just everywhere else other than when he's casting. But oh man, that guy's voice is so good.
It's pretty amazing.
Sorry to cut that. We got a few community questions. Like as I said, I was talking about the name. Nikolai98 asked me to ask where you both got your names. Please don't have a 25-minute story. I won't judge you if you will, Atlas, but I know you like to talk, but like...
Mine's really boring. Really, really boring. My original name was Slappy Baggins, and that was because I couldn't get Slappy Bag, and I really wanted Slappy Bag. It's from Scrubs, and it's basically what Turk's name is when he gets kicked out. Like, him and, like, JD comes into the surgery team, and it's like sort of like a frat boys group, and he like gives everyone nicknames, and Turk gets the lame one because he used to be a ballerina, so he gets called Slappy Bag, and I just loved it. Just thought it was the funniest thing ever. But then that was taken on the NA server, so I was like, oh, what can I do? So I just added Gins on the end.
You know, you were also referencing Lord of the Rings. Don't
Well,
lie.
yeah. Well, I've double timed it now. So it was like started off as Scrubs, and I'm like, oh, let's just add Lord of the Rings into it because I'm a mega nerd. Easy peasy. People are gonna get that. I'm playing a video game. No problem. But then, yeah, I had to change it, and it took me a long time to actually work out anything. Nothing really came to me, and then I was sitting down with my mate Barry, and we're like, all right, dude, you're just gonna have to pick a name. So I was like, all right. Atlas, that'll do. And I think we were going through planets and like moons of planets or something like that. Not entirely sure. But it's also the video game company that created Snowboard Kids, my personal favorite N64
Oh,
game.
man.
Quality game.
Oh,
Yeah.
it feels...
Yeah, it's so good. Slash!
Jam.
Jam! Should have been. Oh my god, so good. Tommy! That game was
Oh
the
my
best.
God, I remember
The
that so
American dub. The American dub. So good.
And Christian,
All right,
where'd you get your name?
Christian.
Well, Christian I got from my parents, luckily. It's my normal name. But my in-game name, Starjun, is it's from anime. One of the main characters, Nemesis, his name's Starjun. Yeah, it's called Toriko. It's made by the people that make Dragon Ball Z. It's pretty good. Check it out. Yeah, not very interesting. Sorry.
Yours
I've
is
had a
really
lot of
bigger.
different names, though. Yeah, well, you're a Shoutcaster, so you have to kind of entertain.
Yeah, make stories out of everything. Yeah, none of that was true, by the way. It's completely not true. That was true. Wow. I'm so confused as to what I've just explained. But yeah, it was true. Let's leave it at that. We're fine.
And we also do have another question here from Andrew AA. Is it worth maining mid to go up in ELO, or is filling a role way better to move up with?
Basically, just go and look at Sky's DST video, and you will move up ELO.
Oh, man, it worked for me. It worked for me. I went from Gold 1 to Diamond 2.
Mm-hmm.
Gold 1 to Diamond 2.
That's all you
Playing
need.
Pantheon, being really nice to everyone.
Everyone. And just man drop on people. Wow, being really nice and then say man drop.
But like,
got interesting connotations.
you've witnessed the Pantheon, but basically, it's just you man drop for your team. Okay?
Yep.
For your
and with
team.
the weight of your team on your shoulders as well, it makes it so much more powerful.
Yeah,
when you finally
it's just
hit the ground.
it's a drop of feelings, not just a drop of damage. Feelings is what you drop.
Friendship.
Yep.
Friendship drop.
Friendship is the most important part of playing Pantheon.
Yeah, it's like posy dubstep. That's what you're doing.
We nailed climbing. Me and Atlas. So basically, TLDR guys watching, if you want to climb ELO, friendship.
Yep. Friendship. There it is. Beautiful.
Positive attitude.
And don't main a role. Don't main a role, because that'd just be really bad. Learn how to play every one of them, at least moderately well. Have a few champions that you can pick up, and then go in that way. Or, I don't know, I think at least know how to be competent in every role. That's
Pantheon.
Or just play Pantheon in every role.
Just Pantheon.
There we go. Yep, there we go.
He fits into every role, doesn't he? Yeah, he's ranged with his spear. He can
Yeah,
jungle, as we
Pantheon
know.
is legit.
Yeah. Support Pantheon is legit, dude.
Yeah.
You go kill lane bot,
Loser.
Pantheon Lee Sin. That's
Yeah,
how.
that is good. Pantheon
Yeah,
Jarvan.
when Dale and I
Pantheon
haven't won a
Aatrox.
game for a while, we have to play kill lane bot, and he'll just like say, "Nah, Max, just go Pantheon." I'm like, "All right," and then he just does flashy Lee Sin things when I stun people. It's the best. Easy
Aatrox
win.
is great in those kill lanes as well. He works
my
really well. Level 1, yep, just all-ins, killer.
Especially when his W used to proc every second auto attack too. Heck yeah, Soz Darien.
Yeah.
Yeah, good times.
Alright, we also do have a funny picture to show for you guys. If you had to choose 2 League of Legends pros from anywhere in the world to get one of these, who would those 2 be? And we're going to flash to a picture. So we're going to ask chat, who do you want? Who would you choose if you had to be the guy in the middle and you had to get kissed by 2 pros? Who would you guys go for?
I already know mine.
Oh, go on, tell us.
You can go
Easy
first.
peasy.
Is it
Easy
Freak?
peasy. Definitely Snoopy, because he's just dreamy.
I'm sorry,
Alright.
he's already my husband. You can't have him.
Well, I'd borrow him for a photo, if that's all right. Jeez. What are you, chaining him to the kitchen now? Wow.
7 minutes in heaven with
wouldn't you?
Atlas.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's all I want. No, Snoopy, and probably, oh man, it's actually really hard because Watch and Flame are both so pretty. Oh my god. Probably Watch though. He's got that cuteness factor that just really does it for me.
Surprised you haven't gone Crepo. I'm not lie.
Oh no, Crepo's more like I just want him all to myself. That's more than just I wouldn't want the whole 2-on-1 situation with Crepo. Needs to be more intimate and beautiful.
Christian?
Oh god.
Can I pick Pooksy? Is that doable? Or? No.
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 come on.
Pixie.
One will definitely have to be Mateos, but he has to have blonde hair because.
Can we say Meteos? Can we say Meteos just so that people understand who the heck you're talking about?
Mateos, however you like it. And
Potatoes.
I guess if I have to put some TSM in there, I'll probably pick up Wild Turtle just because he's a cutie.
What about you, Alyssa?
Oh my.
I called Snoopy first.
God damn it! Everyone that knows I love Snoopy. He's a gorgeous guy. Good question. I hadn't prepared
This does
myself for
include
this
the
one.
oceanic scene, by the way, Alyssa.
Oh, I can't say that. That's way too personal.
That's way too close to home. Way too close to home.
That might actually happen.
Cough, swiper, cough.
Swipe is the
If I had
cutest
to
guy in
choose
alive.
like oceanic, it'd probably be like a lot of people all at once. To be perfect.
Just want to cut in real quick. When I met Swipe at Supernova, I actually told him that he was the cutest person on IM. He went entirely red and just looked down. And it was just the most adorable thing I have ever seen in my life. He just like kept looking at me and turning away, and I'm like, God bless your soul, Swiper.
I made him giggle on the Challenger qualifier stream, and that was to date my greatest achievement ever. Guaranteed.
Put it on
And it
the
was when the
resume.
camera was on him as well. Oh my god. Magical. Magical moments.
So, Alyssa, who were they?
I don't know.
Oh, she's on the spot. Definitely I'm a cutie pie, right? It's got to be.
Oh, why did I not pick
That
I'm a
hair.
cutie?
Glorious.
Hair is luscious.
Just that
It's like-
attitude as well.
Straight from a Pantene Pro V ad, that guy.
Like Sushi, remember him?
Yeah,
He
Shushay.
used
Alistair Mid.
used
Oh,
to be
yeah.
on Fnatic.
The Wolf Tamer. My
Carried
goodness.
in
I love
season
that
1.
dude. Damn right he
Gragas.
did. His Gragas was
Repeat.
insane.
Yep.
Back
He
when
was solid.
Malzahar was top lane. And
Oh, yeah, that
PS
was legit
Malzahar
too.
best champion. How things have changed.
Shushay and who was the other one?
I'm a cutie pie for best hair.
Yeah.
Shit.
Well,
I'd watch
I've got-
that.
I've had 2 preset in my mind for like, the past
Alright, go.
year and a half or so. It's been a really long thing. I said that we could include the oceanic people as well. First off, I've just double lift, please.
Yeah.
And then one little close to home. Do you remember the team of Viscerate Atlas?
Yes. Oh,
Do
are
you
you
remember
going to
Prince?
say that? Oh, okay, Prince. Okay, I thought you were gonna say Rusty for a second.
Oh,
I
dude.
completely agree with you. I'm
Have you
still
not
lost
looked
in
at
his
my
eyes.
Skype
If
name?
you've got a map for me getting out of his eyes, like I'm still lost. So if you could just help, that'd be great because I can't see. So yeah.
I think I'm changing it, man. It's got to be Prince and Rusty. It's going to be the
Yep.
best day of my
Oh,
life.
I agree, and I just feel bad saying like because there's so many people in the oceanic scene that I'd want to be in between. Wow.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
This got
Smooth.
really.
Things got super heated in it, didn't they?
Man, you're
Wow.
thirsty, Atlas. You're thirsty, man.
Yeah. Let's just stop this right now. I think it's just we're gonna go change. I think. My goodness.
Jesus Christ. I'm getting some real hectic imagery right now. I've met a
Yeah.
lot of the people on this scene.
Yeah.
All right, so after that, I thought it's about time we do some closing remarks. We've been going for a good, hour and a half now, and it's been awesome. So honestly, I just want to thank both of you so much for joining us today. And like usual, are there any shout outs either of you would love to make?
I definitely like this is the shout out that I forgot to do when I was in an interview, and I really need to shout out to all of the members of ACL. Those guys have helped me become the man I am today. They're all amazing people. The production work is like second to none, and I just need to say that, yeah, anyone from ACL who's watching, you guys are the best. Also to Riot, of
Massive
course, for
props.
hiring me and all that sort of business.
Can't shout out
And
your employer.
my
That's
mom
weak.
and my dad, who are currently overseas, so they're not going to see this at all. But still, I sort of have to do it. So yeah, no, that's
Sorry, Randall. Just needed
Randall, Randy Andy, as people call him, due to the last name being Anderson.
And
If only
you-
I was Randall Jr. Sorry, continue.
I'll give a shout out to first up, definitely Jay Bongs, who's hopefully watching now. He helps us a lot with the analyst work, and Neville Hectos, the pro jungler who teaches us how to play and carries us in solo queue. So yeah, thanks to them, and shout out to just anyone who's watching really and who supports Oceanic Gaming.
And if people want to find out more about what you guys do, where can we find you?
Well, I'm on Twitter, Atlus LOL, and it's Atlus with a U as well. I assume it's probably here somewhere on the stream. Yeah, there it is, underneath my little face. So yeah, I think Twitter's probably the best. I've also got a Facebook page, but I barely ever go there, and it's just basically what my Twitter has on it. So you can go there, and it'll just double up on what my Twitter does. So GG.
Yeah, and you can find me at lolscouts on Twitter as well, or just at lolscouts.com.
Nice and easy. All right, guys. Well, thank you all to the viewers that have tuned in to watch tonight. Our Duoqueue podcast will be back next Wednesday at 7:30. If you enjoyed the show, please follow us and watch our YouTube channel, which is Duoqueue. Sorry, no, it's not. It's Games Network. All the information and the links will be provided in the description below on our YouTube channel. So you can also follow me at Alicifer, and you can find Bensin at Bensin AU. It has been Duoqueue podcast, and we're signing out. Thanks for watching.
Peace.
Next time, you get my back. Huh?